Have you ever faced a frustrating red screen while coding in React Native? It can really throw a wrench in your development process, right? If that's you, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into how to dynamically change the number of columns in a flat list based on orientation without running into errors. I totally get it. You're trying to make your app responsive, and suddenly you're met with a red screen error. It's one of the most common issues developers face when working with flat lists. You're definitely not alone in this. Here's the specific situation we're addressing. One user recently asked, "How can I change the number of columns in my flat list based on orientation without getting a red screen?" They mentioned that they were unsure about how to change the key prop correctly. Sound familiar? Let's tackle this together. So, what's causing this red screen? When you change the number of columns dynamically, React Native needs to know how to uniquely identify each item in the list. This is where the key prop comes into play. Let's break it down step by step. And stick around. I have a crucial tip at the end that will help you avoid this issue in the future. To address the issue with the flat list, the user should first ensure that the key prop is set correctly. This is important for React to identify which items have changed, are added, or are removed. Next, the user needs to update the key prop of the flat list whenever the number of columns changes. This can be done by using the orientation as part of the key. Now, the user should implement a listener for orientation changes. This can be achieved using the Dimensions API from React Native. Finally, the user should ensure that the state is updated correctly to reflect the current orientation. This will allow the flat list to adjust the number of columns dynamically. Fun fact, did you know that the first mobile apps were just simple calculators? Look how far we've come. Now we can create complex layouts with just a few lines of code. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution provided by another user involves using React hooks. They suggest initializing a state variable for the number of columns with useState. Then you can set the key prop of the flat list to this state variable, allowing it to dynamically change the number of columns. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution provided by another user involves setting the number of columns directly in the flat list component. They suggest using a fixed number of columns, such as 4, and ensuring that the key extractor is properly defined to avoid errors. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests that to dynamically change the number of columns based on orientation, you need to define different keys for portrait and landscape modes. This will force a fresh re-render of the flat list. They recommend concatenating the numcol's value to the index in your key extractor. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution suggests using the Use Window Dimensions hook to make your flat list responsive in landscape mode. By checking if the width is greater than the height, you can determine the orientation. Then, set the numColumns prop to 1 plus the Boolean value of his landscape. This approach also includes a key prop that changes based on the orientation. Here's the crucial tip I promised. Always ensure your key prop is unique and correctly set. This will save you from many headaches down the road. And there you have it. You should now be able to dynamically change the number of columns in your flat list without encountering that pesky red screen. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't forget to check out our next video on optimizing your React Native performance.